Welcome back to the Terrace morning. Hope you're well. I had an extra couple of hours in bed this morning. Had a few celebratory drinks last night. A few champers, a few whiskeys. Didn't go out because obviously you can't. But what did I watch last night? I watched Dave Chappelle. I literally watched two back-to-back stand-up shows with Dave Chappelle. Ledge. It was a good evening. Welcome back to everybody. Make sure that like button is being smashed like this. Just keep smashing it, all right? Keep doing that right now. Hope you're well. Good morning. We're here to talk Haaland. We saw yesterday Haaland's father and Mino Raiola really threw the gauntlet down. They are publicly demonstrating their open and willingness to talk to all the major clubs in Europe that want to sign Erling Haaland. Barcelona and Real Madrid both sat down yesterday and had negotiations and preliminary talks with Erling Haaland representatives. Chelsea are next in line to sit down and hold the talks, and they have already stated that they are prepared to pay in excess of £120 million to Borussia Dortmund to get the deal done. Dortmund said yesterday they want 150 million euros for him to go this summer. Otherwise, they're not bothered about him leaving. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I think you can probably get him for a little bit less, but it's going to be huge amounts of money, record-breaking transfer fees from the majority of clubs. Manchester City, Liverpool and Manchester United are still trying to gain the meeting, but I think what really should stand out as a positive to Chelsea fans is the speed of which their club reacted to yesterday, how quickly they've sat down. Marina, of course, maybe not Roman directly in the room, but Marina having that conversation, sitting down and basically trying to say, whatever you're being offered elsewhere, we're going to be able to match it for you. We're going to go through that in a little bit more detail. Also, Ben White to Manchester United. The young man has come out and stated, he has come out and said that he is open to the idea of moving to Manchester United this summer. Brighton would be reluctant to sell, though, and it would command a fee in excess of £35 million. And my question is, first, I know people laugh at Ben White. How good is he? How good do people think Ben White is? Because, you know, a year ago, Liverpool fans seemed desperate to sign him. Liverpool fans were jumping for joy at the idea of him joining their club. So is he good? Is he better than we think? Is a Ben White at 35 million? Does it represent better value? How much better are the likes of Konate? How much better are the likes of Julius Kunde? How much better are they, considering that people are talking about 70, 80 millions for those players? Or is it the other end of that spectrum? Are we looking at Man United now? That's where we are. That's where we shop. That's us now, almost for life. We are just going to always be the lower end of the spectrum. Why Chelsea and why City and why Real Madrid and PSG are continually in the new world after the relaxed rules on FFP. They're spending 50, 60, 70, 80 millions on the best players in the world, and a Man United just going to be shopping one or two tiers below that. We're not at Waitrose. We're not at John Lewis. Do you know what I mean? We're somewhere in between Iceland and Asda in terms of shopping. And I know what that's like. I grew up right next to an Asda in Leighton. And it's where people like me shop. It's where the working class poor people shop, bruv. My whole life, Asda. I remember the first time I felt like I could afford to go into a Waitrose and did a bit of shopping. I don't know. I felt like I was cheating on my people, bruv. It's one of them ones. But anyway, we digress. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings this morning. Smash that like and share button. KJ backstage. Jem backstage. Neeks backstage. Neeks is a chef. He was sharing in the group chat yesterday some lovely fish that the man has prepared for Easter week. He probably I don't think he's eaten them already. Maybe he has. I don't know. But maybe it was yesterday's food. Man can cook fish, bruv. That's lovely. We're going to get him on in a few moments' time as well. Ben White is a 6 out of 10 most weeks. Lower ceiling is what's being said. Yeah, I hear you on that. Let's just go through quickly before we bring the panel on the news today regarding Chelsea. This is one of the reports I read this morning said that representatives of Borussia Dortmund striker Haaland are set to continue their transfer talk roadshow. I do love how they call it the roadshow. And I also do love how they've just honestly, as bold as brass, Mino Raiola is just like, listen, we are doing this in full sight. It's, you know, like in America when they have those big court cases and they're televised so everyone knows exactly what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised in a few years if you saw agents like live stream and televise these negotiations. We're almost at that point. That'd be terrible news for a lot of journalists that love the secrecy. He says here, the Chelsea target's agent and his father was spotted in Spain, blah, 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 blah. However, it's now been reported that Mino Raiola has arrived in England on early Friday morning to speak with first Chelsea, then Liverpool and Manchester United. It goes on to say that ahead of the meeting, Chelsea hierarchy discussed the news of the transfer fee set by Borussia Dortmund, which was they wanted a bid somewhere in the region of 150 million euros, and all signs appear to be good. It goes on to state that Chelsea don't look at this as a problem and that they are prepared to pay the transfer fee required to land their man. My view is City won't. My view is Liverpool won't. Man United will probably try and pay the fee. If we're being absolutely honest, Man United will probably try and say we'll pay it, but he ain't going to pick us. I do get this horrible little feeling that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be friend-zoned here. Ole's on the phone every day. He sends flowers on the birthday. Do you know what I mean? He's the person putting all the graft in, all the hard work. Chirps in, bruv. I ain't said that word in years because I don't do it anymore because I'm too old. But he's chirped in Haaland. He's gonna do it all. Weekend away, spa days. Just one of them ones. He'll buy a spa day for Haaland. He'll get really close to the date and it'll be, oh, listen, Ollie, you know that spa day we're meant to be going on tomorrow? Yeah. You still want to go? Yeah, of course I want to go. But, oh, what's up? My best friend's had a really bad breakup and can I take her instead? You don't mind, do you? It's going to be one of them ones for Ollie, bruv. I can see it now. He's going to get aired. He's going to get aired and pied at the very last moment. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. So Mino Raiola has held talks this morning with Chelsea Football Club. They're prepared to pay the money. They're prepared to do what is necessary to bring him in. They made sure they were first when he landed in England to have these conversations. I think that is telling. We've got a few more super chats to do here. Then we're going to bring the panel on. But make sure like buttons are being smashed, people. Andre here says the next Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. Oh, bruv, that's deep, bruv. That's deep. That's a bit deep. I read about that. I don't really do a lot of like celebrity gossip, but that was a madness, I believe. That was a madness. First it was one, then it was the other. That's how I read it. Shane here says Ben White is like David May standard. No, come on, is he that bad? I do remember Rashford this season absolutely ending him with that wonderful solo goal. Jerome here says, so I'm assuming they are going to get rid of Timo Werner after his absolute blunder for Germany. Told those Chelsea fans he was an average player, and Jem thought I was talking nonsense, is what man like Jerome has said there. Listen, we'll have a chat about that now. We've got Daniel backstage as well. Now, my guy, big Chelsea fan, of course. Let's do this, people. I've got such a hangover today, but let's do it anyway. Let's go! Good morning. What's the matter, KJ? I'm having a hangover. Okay?
You drunkard, fam. It's all good, man. It's all good.
I'm celebrating. Honestly, last night I went to 3 different locations. Right, first I started off some very early drinks, a few light beers in the lounge. So we were in the lounge for a couple of hours, and then we moved to this new hip place. It's called the Kishan. We went into there. We had some whiskeys in the Kishan. And then we spent the rest of the night in the little Snug. The Snug's a really good new bar. We had a few more whiskeys and watched Dave Chappelle. So it was a good night out. 3 good bars. The Lounge, the Kishan, and the Snug. That was me last night. Partied away. By myself. Baby mum's had to go to sleep because he's up early, innit? So, yeah, that was me. Anyway, morning all. How are we?
Not bad, mate. Not bad.
How are them fish, Neeks? How are the fish?
I had one yesterday. I'm gonna have another one as soon as I get off the stream. Then gonna go to my mum's. I'm sure she's got some as well. So,
oh man, I can't eat
fish Friday. Fish Friday.
Yeah, come on now.
Absolutely.
Hard bread, bun and cheese, all of that.
Oof! The bun and cheese, bro. The bun and cheese, fam.
Fair enough.
So we're here talking transfers. By the way, happy Easter to everybody that celebrates it, or some people that are just doing it for the bunnies and the chocolate. Whatever you're doing, we can have a nice time with your family. Of course, 4-day weekend, happy days. Let's start with Haaland news. Chelsea are holding the talks with him this morning. They seem prepared to pay the money. I'm going to go Daniel first on this one. How are you feeling about it? We've not really spoke much in the last week or so. This news is picking up, or the saga around Haaland's really picking up. What's your thoughts, mate?
I mean, yeah, Chelsea will always be there and thereabouts when it comes to signing the top players. Abramovich has set his sights on Haaland, like he wants him by all means. And when Abramovich sets his sights on someone, like it's literally now going to be down to Haaland's choice. Like he's not going to struggle when it comes to money. If Haaland wants a yacht, if his dad wants a plane, he's gonna get it. Like he's literally gonna do everything he can to get it for him. But it just literally depends on Haaland. Like when people yesterday were so fascinated by the Barcelona news, I was like, it's normal. He's going to talk to everyone. He's going to talk to Real Madrid. He's going to talk to Chelsea. He's going to talk to United. And lo and behold, Romano then tweets about the Real Madrid stuff. So Raiola knows what he's doing as well. This is drumming up the business. It's going to be a bidding war. If you want Haaland, you're more or less likely going to have to pay the money for him this year rather than waiting for his release clause to drop next year. So yeah, man. But look, it's always good to be part of the sweepstakes. Like when your team's not involved, it's not fun. It's always good to be involved, and we'll see what happens, innit? We'll see what happens.
Well, what I would say about it is this: like Liverpool and Man United, their names have been mentioned in terms of they are going to have talks. I felt a bit sorry for Arsenal; their names didn't come up at all. It was like at least we didn't get rejected. They didn't even get invited to the party.
That's the same, bro.
What's the point, man?
Nah, being invited to this whole being involved in this saga is not fun, bro. It's not fun, especially when you know you're the team that's gonna always lose, bro. Like it's fun for you, man, because you actually have a chance of getting him. Us United fans, there's no point of us being in this.
KJ, would you rather get in the party but be rejected at VIP or just not get in the club at all?
Exactly.
No, not be in the club, so I can go to a club that accepts me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, go somewhere that I want to be, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Have you ever watched the episode of Extras with Ricky Gervais where he goes into like first of all they go into this like Weatherspoons type pub and it's all the dross that were in there bothering him because he's now famous and he's like, oh, I've got to get out of here. It's like icky and horrible. It's too low rent. He goes to this really plush bar, pays to get into the VIP section. This is great. And then David Bowie turns up and they kick him out of the VIP because they said David Bowie's a bigger star. And then all the celebs in there like rip into him and he's embarrassed. So he ends up going back to the Weatherspoons because at least he's loved in there. That's
exactly, bro. Exactly.
Go to
the Weatherspoons, man.
But KJ, if you're in the club with a VIP, at least you get little dregs, the ones that fall out after. So you know, Haaland goes to Chelsea, Chelsea sells Werner to Dortmund, Dortmund sell, and then you just get Brathwaite from Barca. You say, all right, that's so they have to get rid of, isn't it? I rather that.
Just making up the numbers, as they say.
Oh no, but think of it this way. Think of it this way, yeah. So you can go to the club, yeah, and get the dregs, which are like 5s and 6s who are getting rejected. Or you could go to the Weatherspoons and get first choice of the 7s and 8s. There are very few. No 7s and 8s. Very few, like the 1 or 2. The 1 or 2, blood.
Wife in Weatherspoons, bruv. Be careful. Man like the walnut tree. No, I hear you on that. Jem, from your point of view, mate.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you to Cox on wheels. There we go. We spelt in the polite way for becoming a legendary member. Really appreciate that, bro. Thank you very, very much indeed. Jem, from your point of view, how excited are you of this new? I get what Daniel said, by the way. It's normal for negotiations to go like this. What's a little abnormal is the way it's being done in the public eye. Almost like we're not going to allow transfer, like the media. It's almost like Raiola wants to be in front of the media. Does that make sense? Are you still confident as a Chelsea fan? Do you think that you forget the money? Do you think he would pick you over Barca and Real Madrid?
One thing I'd say for Chelsea is we are pretty aggressive. When we want someone, we usually show our intent and we're usually quite good at getting our targets. The only reason I think with Barcelona, right? Everyone could pay the money. That's cool. But the thing that I think might be the issue as well, if I was Haaland, is looking at the projects of each club and the developments of each club. I mean, if you look at Barcelona, when Messi goes, I think they're in a huge decline. Who's the next big thing? All right, they bring Haaland in, but who can he work around? Do you know what I mean? Griezmann's not firing. He hasn't fired since he's moved from Atletico to Barcelona. Look at Real Madrid. Again, same. They've got good individual players, but again, they're declining. They've got tons of loanees out. Whether they bring them back or not in the summer is yet to be seen. You know, you look at Liverpool, FSG, are they going to spend the money? Probably not, unless they sell a Salah and Mane. Man City, for me, are ahead in terms of development than all of us. because they're winning things. They're ahead of us. The only thing that we've got in our favour is we're aggressive, and we've got a project that hopefully in the next upcoming 2 to 3 years, is going to win us things. Does that make sense? So yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Eye test here. This is a great one. Eye test. You've actually outdone yourself. He says, "Why is no one talking about Haaland being disrespectful to Borussia Dortmund by making everything public? Mbappe and Sancho are being respectful. Imagine PP moving like Haaland." So let me give you an example. Dortmund want to sell. What we've got to remember about Borussia Dortmund, and I know maybe Dortmund fans won't like hearing this, but they are it's why I was happy. I know Danny called me out on it yesterday saying it's nonsense. I don't believe it is. I believe the buyout clause was put in place and perfectly put at this next year. This was always going to be the window where they not extorted people, that sounds the wrong way, but where they absolutely got all the bang possible for their buck. But Borussia Dortmund, barring Marco Reus, because the geezers made a biscuit, they sell all their stars.
They do.
They sell them all. Like all the new young ones coming through. Jude Bellingham in 3 years, if he continues to progress, will not be there.
Well, they've held on to Sancho, Terry, haven't they, quite well? So
yeah, but Sancho is leaving though. Like Sancho wants to go.
No. What I mean, they're never going to get. They're never going to have a Lewandowski, a Hummels, a Goretzka. Not Goretzka.
Gundogan, Nuri Sahan.
They're never going to keep any of these players for 8, 9, 10 years. And build teams.
To be fair, Royce did want to stay though. Like he chose to stay at.
Yeah, okay.
He wouldn't have though, KJ, if he wasn't like made of blooming breadsticks.
No, he would have. No, he would have because Bayern wanted it.
So maybe Royce. But the point I'm making here to eye test is Dortmund are a selling club. This action by Raiola and Haaland is absolutely perfect for Borussia Dortmund.
They love this. They love it.
Yeah, it's been done with their blessing. So
they probably asked him, said, Raiola, please go and tout Haaland to all the big clubs.
They want to sell. They want to sell. Happy birthday to yourself, mate. Happy birthday. We've got Sonny with us. We're going to talk about Ben White in a few minutes. Sonny, you're a Liverpool fan. Your names have been dragged into this. Do you think FSG are going to sanction a 150 million euro move for Haaland and you're going to beat away Europe's elite clubs to land him?
If we actually lost out on him this summer, I wouldn't be too annoyed because I understand if it is that price, then that's a lot of money. And I don't want us to get rid of, like, say, a Salah or Mane to try and get him. If he was available next year when we can get him for his release clause, I would be pissed off if we didn't get him then.
Can I just say on the whole this summer, next summer, and I'm not 100% sure how it works with Haaland's release clause because obviously in Spain, everyone legally has to have a release clause. In Germany, it's not the case. It's it's variable depending on your contract. So in Spain, you have to pay that money up front for the clause to be activated. You have to submit the money to the La Liga headquarters. If Haaland is the same, where that money has to be up front, you could end up paying more next summer in terms of the one transfer window than you would if you agree a deal this year, because you could agree a deal where you pay 40 million up front and the rest spread over X amount a year. One second.
Right.
And next year you have to pay the 75 million. Now, of course, it's just one lump sum and it's max at 75. But then the question is, who has 75 million pound cash to just pay it like that? Because if we were to go next year and pay 75 million up front, that's our whole transfer budget if we need more than one player next year. Whereas this year, if we're able to negotiate, you could pay 40 million and still be able to buy other players.
That would be true if it weren't Dortmund. Dortmund ain't accepting no 40 mil up front. They're not.
True.
The fee is 150 million euros.
Yeah.
They're going to want 80, 90.
Guys.
I think there'd be structure to it, though, KJ.
Do it the other way around then. So you do it the other way around. If you've got, I'm telling you this now, that level of finance, if you've got 120 million pound in your bank account, it is cheaper to borrow it than spend it. So you will earn more of a yield and a return in a corporate savings function, save 2% a year. You could borrow that amount of money for like 0.2 above base, which means you could borrow it. So that's what you do. You go, right.
But Terry, I'm talking specifically more for Man United in the sense that if we're going to spend, we're taking it straight out of our cash reserves and we ain't borrowing a penny.
I hear you. So that's the thing. It's about doing it the right way around. So Dortmund might say, no, we want it all up front. But if you're a well-run club, you say, cool, well, we'll just go to the bank, a bank. Banks will throw that money at you because it's like printing money because you're not quite a guarantee. Well, you are a guarantee, almost a secured creditor, because at the end of the day, you've got billion pounds of asset behind you. If it all went terribly wrong, the bank's getting their money back. So it's not an issue. They'll sell the player, like whatever needs to be done.
On another note on that, obviously Chelsea have previous in terms of stealing players. I say, stealing players, in it, because they stole John. They stole John Obi Mikel off us. Mikel, that's a fact. They stole him.
Just a better project. That's all it is.
No. you rub the right hand.
Well, man took Willian off the Spurs table,
but then you got Willian, you got Robin, you got Essien, you got Ballack. All these players were supposed to come to Man United, and you lot just swooped in and got them. But Jorginho, I'm just saying, isn't it? Jorginho to Man City, same thing.
Yeah.
But is there any player that Chelsea have bought that they got ahead of Barcelona and Real Madrid? There's evidence of doing it against English clubs. Have they actually, or is there anyone in the world who has got a player ahead of Real Madrid and Barcelona?
Hazard wasn't Hazard.
No, Hazard was Man United, Man City, and Chelsea.
The thing you forget with Real Madrid and Barcelona back then is they were the pinnacles. They were at the top of their games and they were winning everything. They're not doing that anymore.
They are.
But I don't agree. Yes, I don't. They're not at the pinnacle. I agree. They're not as good as they were 5, 6, 10 years ago in some cases. But they're still right up there.
I think the players still look at them that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course they do. Hence why when they lose 8-2 to Bayern, it gets a bigger story than Spurs losing 7-2 to Bayern. They are still a massive club.
I think on that though, what I would say is this about like Barca and Real Madrid not being where they should be. If they don't, the problem you've got is that. But with that logic, it means they never. If that logic is that because they're not at their best, nobody would go to them. They'd never ever get back to their best again. Like every team goes through a dip. Like Chelsea, you haven't won a league title in 5 years. So by your own logic, you shouldn't be signing any top players because you're not the pinnacle that you once were. But it's about what players buy into. Yes, money's important, but it's what the project is, what my status is. A lot of them want to be wanted, and that's why I still make Chelsea favourites. Chelsea will do everything in their power, and if FFP has been relaxed, trust me, it will be. Listen, you want to.
Will Real Madrid not do all they can? Because I said, when have they gone in for a player and missed out because they didn't want to pay the money? We know they wanted Van der Beek and Havertz, but they weren't willing to pay that.
My view would be. My view would be. Sorry, mate. My view.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, mate. My view would be this: we haven't seen Chelsea or City operate yet. We don't know what these relaxed rules on FFP are. If there's no financial fair play, I do believe that Chelsea, City, and Paris Saint-Germain, irrespective of this deal, will beat everybody to players because they will just simply have much deeper pockets and they can just blow. And then Chelsea might be able to put a bid in that Dortmund accept and no one else can even match it. So then you're off the table anyway. Like it really does depend what happens. Sorry, you were going to say something, KJ?
No, I was about to say the Real Madrid Mbappe thing. It's more of them. They're waiting for the time.
Yeah,
they're waiting for themselves to be ready. You know, if they were ready, it would be happening.
And on top of that, just to Meeks' point, I think what you have to remember is you don't get this type of sweepstakes player every single season. Like when you think about the players that you mentioned, like the Ballons and the Hazards, there were a lot of intangibles that went into the reason why they moved to Chelsea. So, for example, a big reason I believe personally Havertz moved to Chelsea is because Chelsea were one of the few teams that could actually pay the money last season, if that makes sense, in the summer. So a lot of intangibles go into these things, and I think Chelsea have been fortunate that they've just had more money than everyone else.
Now, Daniel, let's be serious. Last season, no one had money. No one winning. Just Chelsea were the only ones that went.
Can I ask how strong are you lot looking at City like for this Haaland thing?
The thing about the Haaland City, everyone says City have the better project if you think about it, and everyone's making the links that his dad played for City and all of that kind of stuff. So, like I understand it, but then at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Pep doesn't buy him. Like Pep literally says, I don't really need Haaland.
Is that why you lot are saying that Haaland's perspective would be Chelsea over City? Is that the reason?
Not necessarily Haaland's perspective.
Yeah.
But if Chelsea do what needs to be done, City may not be willing to go extra mile.
That's what I'm saying. Is that the reason you lot are saying like Chelsea over City?
Well, that's the reason. It's the 150 million euro mark. It would be almost double. It would be practically double the price that Chelsea have ever paid. Sorry, City have ever played for anyone. And when you listen to a lot of what's come out of their club in recent years, it's this kind of we have a structure. We don't go of X. We don't go above Y. that again though, but that may change if FFP has been relaxed because maybe
Aguero's leaving.
their model has been there because
they need a striker.
They need to get it done, and they do need that striker. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Viewers, we want your views, we want your opinions. We will go to calls a little bit later in the show, so stay with us. Smash that like button. Over 1,000 people watching this morning, and by the way, 6:30 tonight, the announcement is coming. Just thought I'd throw that out there. The announcement is coming, so 6:30 tonight. Make sure you're there.
It will definitely be a Good Friday.
Yeah. I like that one. I like that one, KJ.
Look at that, bro. The Pope coming out with that. I love it, bro. I want to speak Ben White. I want to speak Ben White.
Why?
Because we have reason. Because of that reason, right? So Man United are linked with him. They're linked with a £35 million move. Interestingly, this was a player because I really want to get Sonny's perspective on this. This was a player that Liverpool linked with heavily for a while. I remember I went onto a few streams and Liverpool fans are talking about it. I mean, I remember being on LFC Day Trippers, and my first thought was Ben White. I'd never even seen his links, and they were raving about how good he was. He's 23. He's gone to Brighton. He's had an okay season. Now United are linked with him. I'm going to KJ first. What's your thoughts? If this is the centre back we buy, if this is the individual we invest in for the future, what's your reaction to that, mate?
Yo, bruv, might as well give Twanzebe games. Like, we ain't got no time. We shouldn't be in the market for one of these potential centre back people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need experienced centre back now, fam. So if you want to go get Ben White, bro, might as well just give Twanzebe games, give Mengi games. Like, what would be the point? It would basically be the same thing. We've already got Ben White in our academy already. We've already got Ben White out on loan already. You don't need another Ben White. And 35 M's, bruv. Whack another 15 on top, another 20 on top. You can get Varane. Like,
or Canate.
Canate again, but Canate is another. Canate is going to Liverpool. He's another. There's a potential in there that he needs grooming, he needs growth, he needs development. We've got two of the centre backs like that already. Again, we need experienced, ready, dominant, world-class centre back.
So on that, Neeks, is this a case of Man United shopping lower down the pecking order, as it were?
They're going to Weatherspoon.
All right, mate. See you in a bit, mate. So is it that, or is it these better players don't want to come to Man United? Is it a United process or a choice, or is it's necessity because the big boys that we want have gone, nah, mate, you got Ollie as manager, the Glazers in charge, see you later?
Well, it depends who those big players are. If it's Varane, Ramos you're talking about, it's very, very plausible that they're like, I don't want to go Man United. That's a very, very strong possibility. If we're talking about Koundé, Kanate, they will snap your hand off tomorrow if Man United were a club in for them. So obviously, they may choose a Liverpool over Man United. You don't know, but if Man United were in for them, they would not remain at Leipzig or remain at Sevilla as opposed to going to Manchester United. The question really is: are we willing to pay what we need to get the right player? So instead of shortcutting or cutting corners, whatever, we're gonna let's go and get Ben White because he's got the potential to do it, as opposed to saying, you know what, double that price and get down on a proven top level Champions League player, go out and get them and just solidify the defense in a way. And I'm not saying that they're going to come and perform in that way, but in a way that Liverpool did with a Van Dijk, in the sense that we can shop elsewhere, but let's get what we know is going to deliver.
You know what it is? You know what it is? They want the easy route. They want the we won't have to convince him. Oh, we won't have to put any work into getting him. It's Ben White. He's English. He plays for Brighton. He will want to play for Man United. No questions asked. That is one of our issues. Stop going for the easy thing. Make the projects. Sell the project correctly. Get the right players in.
Because if you have the right project and you sell it correctly, the players that you think won't want to come will want to come.
Yeah.
I think there's two things in this for me. One, I just want to say a lot of people in the comments are saying like, "Oh, imagine having centre backs called Harry and Ben." Listen, their names and nationality and skin color is irrelevant. It's the quality. If Ben White was an absolute baller, nobody would care about that. It's not about that. It's like if we go after at the same level of Ben White, but he's Spanish or South American or Nigerian.
We don't want him, bro.
So let's stop making it about the color of someone's skin and their passport, please. That's just stupid. It's about the second thing that stands out is he's right-footed and plays on the right-hand side. We need a left-footed centre-back. We are so unbalanced. We have two right-footed centre-backs playing next to each other. You need that, but that's what annoys me more than it being.
Well, it depends. I would say if you're gonna get someone of the quality of Ben White, then yeah, you need a balance. If you're gonna go get a world-class centre back, I don't care what.
Yeah.
Like it needs to offset one or the other. You can't go get an average right-footed centre back. Varane is right-footed. I'll take him in a heartbeat. Ramos is right-footed. I'll take him in a heartbeat. But if you're gonna go do that, then you might as well go get Badashil from Monaco. At least he's left-footed.
Yeah, at least he's left-footed. Yeah, at least he's left-footed.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is about the United thing? Like, I think one thing that we don't, or that you need to see now, is that obviously with the new structure that you brought in and whatnot, we need to see if what was said last season is what they're carrying on. Because I believe, and obviously you guys are better placed to tell me if I'm wrong, but they were saying, I'm talking about how the project now at United is to sign those young under 23 players with potential that we can kind of build up and kind of plug as part of the team. That's why you look at that.
That was 2 summers ago. That whole remit.
Oh, 2 summers ago. You think they're still carrying on that model?
No, that model went out the window last summer, bro. Like that literally went out the window.
Listen, we don't know. My view is I don't know, in the sense of like Pellistri and Ahmad Traore fit it, but why did we sign them so late? Because Sancho didn't come in. It's. I think what happened. Yeah, no, I agree with KJ. Sorry, it is out the window, but we fluctuate. We chop and change all the time, and it's interesting. The news that came out yesterday that the reason Man United didn't aggressively approach Van der Sar to come to the club was one, the position he's a CEO and he doesn't want to leave and go anywhere else and not be a CEO. So Woodward was not prepared to give up his power. Secondly, the biggest reason was they felt that Van der Sar would demand too much from the owners.
Too demanding, bro.
And it'd be too demanding. Basically saying that for me read as abrasive and upsetting the apple cart too much. Yeah. And there's 2 things on that. People then turn around and say, the Myrtles and the Ollies are yes men. And I'm like, okay, I can buy that based on that story. But it works the other way. If you're too demanding, they say no to everything and throw baby out with the bathwater. And there's zero. You can drop a lot quicker. It's really it tells me that's why my focus when anything goes wrong at Man United is how we're run and what we're doing, because it's just awful. It really is.
They are weak.
It is. And nobody wants to challenge the owners. But anyone who comes in that does gets removed. So it becomes the frying pan or the fireplace. It doesn't really matter whether you have a yes man or someone who's demanding. Nothing changes.
Do you know what's so interesting as well? Just to add to that, I just think, and it might be a damning statement or whatever, but at the end of the day, till Man United clean up their front office, they're not winning the Premier League. And like, you can't tell me a team that didn't have an effective running front office or organization above, providing what was needed, given the resources that the manager needed, and having a clear vision and understanding of what they wanted to do. And then they didn't go on to win the league. Like every team that's won the league in the past, how many years, has had an effective running front office, an effective running organization structure above them. And until United clean up their act in terms of that, like, yeah, fair enough, you've had a couple second place finishes now. Again, if you finish second this season, but it's not good enough. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a good look, especially with where Man United want to be. You need to understand everyone watched The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, and I always use this comparison when we talk about organizations and whatnot. But one thing that people don't factor in is, because I even wrote an article on it, and it's the storylines and the narratives attached to it. One of the biggest things that allowed Michael Jordan to be so successful was because his organization was better than everyone else's. The structure that was behind him allowed him to be great. Bruno Fernandes and Pogba can have, like, they can be the best. They're 2 of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Like, no one can dispute that. But they do not have a structure and organization and understanding from the people above of what is needed to be provided on pitch.
You're absolutely right, mate. Even when I don't watch Formula One, and I know it's not so much the case of it's always the best car wins, but does anybody ever win that title with one of the worst cars and one of the worst organizations?
Impossible.
This is the point I say to everybody, and I get Ollie's. There's flaws in Ollie. They're giving him a new deal. There's flaws in the transfer market, but we seem to continue to do it. It's why on individual games I'll blame players, or the manager got this wrong and that wrong. But when it comes down to the conversation, and I think this is where the conversation's got to be steered with Man United, is there's a difference between reviewing why we went out in a particular game, what went wrong today, and why are we in the position that we're in. I think they're connected, but they're different conversations. And you're absolutely right, Daniel. Until the structures run, and what I was told by someone I know, a friend from Manchester, who's just known at the club, if that makes sense. He's been involved in the club for many years. Is that there is a feeling in Manchester, a word on the ground, that Myrtle and Ollie and these people are aware of that, and they're almost trying to create. They're just trying to do it in a different way, a bit of string, a bit of sticky tape, and trying to show the Glazers that actually more success on the field will lead to them being able to make more money. But it's getting them to sanction things, and they believe the best way of doing it is to be a little bit, what's the word I would use? Got to kiss the bootstraps a little bit to maybe get what you want, because as soon as you start challenging them, they just stop whatever you're trying to do. So it becomes a real hard one for anyone who's trying to run and move forward. But Ben White viewers, what's your thoughts? What's your feelings on that? Do me a big favor and smash the like button. Thanks to everyone who's trying to get the numbers up here as well, doing a little comments and counting. Let's get it past 500 while we're live, please. Make sure you subscribe to Football Terrace as well. In other news, Thomas Tuchel has just been announced as the manager of the month. No shocks there.
Robbed. Solskjaer should have won it. I'm being serious.
For March?
Yeah, for March.
I know you can't. United fans can't be inconsistent. I saw that tweet and I was just like, stop it, because
No. I'm consistent. I'm consistent.
For Crystal Palace, the world had come down. Everyone was.
You drew Leeds. You drew newly promoted Leeds.
No, don't do that.
You drew newly promoted Leeds. We drew Crystal Palace. We beat Man City at the Etihad. You beat lowly Liverpool, the worst champion.
Lowly Liverpool now.
So we beat West Ham and Man City, drew Palace. You beat Everton and Liverpool. And
I don't think
Leeds.
they look at the teams though.
No, but they should, because we beat Man City. Haven't lost in ever apart from us. Sorry, Rob.
Do you know what I find interesting about it is this? I personally think Tuchel deserved it, but I always knew he was going to win because Man United fans were incensed and outraged.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like all the Ollie outers voted for Tuchel as well. It was like,
it's true.
If we had beaten Leicester in the FA Cup, Solskjaer would have won, because all the Man United fans would have been on a high and would have voted for him. But it's a Premier League manager of the month.
The thing is, the fan vote only goes.
In the whole month.
The fan vote only goes so far for these overall awards anyway. Let's be honest here. Like that's true. But here's the thing though, it's like Ollie could literally beat all the top 6 and still be the last runner for manager of the month.
Yeah.
Because he's just not a popular manager. No one even people outside of United don't even like him. Not because he's crap, but just for the fact that he's not a character. He's not really got the personality. So people don't want him to. You just won't win these awards.
I love him and respect him for what he's done for the club overall, but I can't listen. I can't listen to him. I just find it. That's what annoys me about Ollie outers. Is why watch his interviews if they wind you up, you plebs? Honestly, you're the fool, innit? I don't watch anything that I don't enjoy. I don't agree with everyone. I watch a lot of YouTubers. I watch a lot of their content. I don't agree with all their opinions, but I never slag it off. Why? Because I'm listening. I never this guy's so rubbish. I wouldn't watch someone who I thought was rubbish. I just leave them be. I mute their Twitter accounts or I block them because I don't want to see their nonsense and I move on. But it's just crazy how people, the Mohawk story from the other day. I was like, oh my
that
God.
was too funny. That was
Rejected Neymar. It's like, oh, bro, come on.
Yeah, I know. Like the reactions were a bit over the top, but it's still a dumb comment from Ollie. Let's be honest.
Well.
but it's the context.
No, but for me, the comment itself wasn't dumb. I'll tell you why. I'll go into that in a second. The incident itself was stupid. You should never judge someone based on their appearance. So what he did when he did it was wrong. But the full context of the comment was, this is what happened in the past. However, times have changed and players have different personalities. So he's kind of accepting that kind of behavior is no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
But I agree, you should never done it in the first place. People just took a clip there and said, what walks into the dressing room, what's going to happen? It's like, well, that was 10 years ago.
And on that, 10 years ago, and on that, Fergie did it. When a very famous example is people like Bebe. Now, Pepe, sorry. He didn't make it as a player, but Fergie made him cut his hair after he signed it. He was like, nah, bruv. It isn't. His view was this. That used to happen. Fergie never used to let at Man United. Fergie won't let, until they've made a certain amount of senior appearances, academy players couldn't wear anything other than black boots. There's these
and the cars, they couldn't get
all these types of things. So these things have always existed at football clubs up until maybe the last 4 or 5 years, where across the country, across the world, things are far more relaxed. Things are far more. Like, I used to work at Barclays, and there was when I first started, barring for religious reasons, men were not allowed facial hair. They used to send you on a little course to teach, if you didn't know how to teach you how to shave properly. Like, it was mad. And then they relaxed it, and it was like, right, you can have designer stubble, but it has to be clipped and tidy and whatnot. Neeks couldn't have had a beard like his when I first started at Barclays Bank, unless it was for religious reasons. You just weren't allowed. But then now,
but even in today's some people who obviously were around back then will still have they're a bit uneasy about it, but obviously they can't because of legislation that they can't turn you away.
Like, certain things have just changed over the years. As you say, people look at it in that way. Fergie definitely did things like what Ollie did. And you like the way like Lampard managed the situation at Chelsea. I think he hasn't learned, and he did a bit of, when things were at their best at Chelsea, that's how it was. So I'm going to do that. But you haven't adapted to the modern day world. As you say, people see that one snippet. And also, Ollie he's not a very good storyteller. He was kind of joking. It was a sort of fun story. The presenter, that dude, the ginger dude, I can't remember his name. Like, he laughed. It was like, it wasn't a serious, it wasn't like, listen, if you want to be a top manager, you have to respect your haircut. Serious. But you took it as serious, and it's like, you fucking idiots. You absolutely.
That's because they don't actually watch the press conferences. They just read. People read the statements and stuff. Even if he's joking, yeah, he still did it, and I feel something is dumb. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all. That's all it is. Like, it was just a dumb thing.
Though, when you look at someone like Tuchel, the reason why Chelsea fans are so me and you're always fascinated by your manager if they're good, is because he talks well. Like, you see him after games, he analyzes the game, breaks it down. Obviously, we're yet to see how he's like when we start losing, because Klopp. I mean, everyone loved Klopp till he started losing, and you never know. And I think Tuchel has that in him. To be fair, I think it's a German thing, but at the end of the day,
you don't just like Tuchel because he's not a Lampard. Let's get it right, man.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't want to take him.
You say that, but like, for me personally, I think, look, there's something there. Like, he literally has a blend of every single manager we've had in the past, and finally we have like the right guy.
Right now he does. Until things go pear-shaped, and he's going to be some next kind of manager to you.
We'll see.
I love about it all. You've all experienced this. By the way, if you want to call in now, we've shared the link on the Discord server and in the live chat. If you want to phone up, have your say on any of these stories. The thing with it is this, though. You can be told the same thing by two different people, the exact same thing, but tone of voice, body language, and just some people's general charisma can get the message across better or make you more inclined to do it. We all had a teacher that we like, no matter what he said or she said, you're like, all right, I'll do that. And then there's another one who can say the same message, and you're like, I ain't listening to you. And sometimes it's just you get past problems. It's more for me how and people that have that great, what Tuchel's got, I think Pep has it most of the time. They've got great emotional intelligence, so they can get into people. Fergie was the master at it because he did it over like 4 decades. Like, imagine being a manager starting in the 70s. And still being able to manage young people and look after young people in 2013. That doesn't happen in any industry.
Well, what if it's a part of Ollie's plan in the press conferences? Just, chillax a bit in the dressing room. He's all up there.
He might, again, we don't know. One thing I say about Ollie, and Ollie outers hate this, the players like him. They work for him. There is no sign of like a dressing room problems or people not respecting him and anything like that. I think he is a nice guy. Ollie's probably someone that's much better talking privately than he is in front of a camera.
No, but you've seen reports that come out before. If you believe them or not, that's a different thing. But it said the players respect and love Ollie as a man and as a manager. It's just maybe the tactics is the issue, or maybe the style of play is the issue. But there's never any reports of the players disrespecting, not liking Ollie. It's only the Ollie outers really that try and feed that narrative. Ex-player don't like Ollie, so it's Ollie out. This player's Ollie out. But it's like, really and truly, that's all lies, because all of them love Ollie. No, you've never seen a game where you're like, that game, they all down tools.
Let's get it right, KJ. If Ollie wasn't a good manager, he would have lost his job already, because results have got to a point at different stages where a manager can be sacked for those results. You add a bad dressing room on top of that, you lose your job. But the fact that he's kept the dressing room has actually probably saved him in the points where the results were at a point where you thought, I don't know how he's going to come back.
I go back to that Everton game. Like, that Everton game, that was the height of all, like, Ollie's going if he loses this game kind of thing. And Everton were playing very well at this time. I think they were top. at that time.
Yeah, they was doing good. They was doing good.
And then I even tuned in. You know, when you sit down, I think it was even.
You thought this is the day. This is the day.
Yeah, there's been about 10 of those games.
You can get like, and then you just see United, and you even went 1-0 down.
Yeah,
You're 1-0 down and you won 3-1. Yeah,
You literally played out of your skin that game. So it's like they're clearly playing for. And this is what I keep saying to United fans. Until he somehow has results that are beyond belief, or until he loses the dressing room, which he seems to do neither. Like he always makes it. Like he always gets the job done.
Yeah, he's like that baddie. You know, you get like a baddie in a series, and it's like remember 50 Cent's character in Power? Like he always should have died, and it just took a lot longer.
Teabag in prison break. Teabag in prison break.
Yeah, teabag.
Teabag.
It's like this comment.
Power, so I couldn't relate.
It's like that. It's like that comment that just on the screen. Like this comment here is like, this is what I mean. Like Ali is the player's friend, but they don't respect him. That like they were the top manager. They respect him, because if they didn't respect him, he would have lost his job. He would have lost his job. Like
interestingly, what normally happens with player power is this: when things get on top, it's a lot easier for players to down tools for a very short period of time, get a manager out, new guy comes in, and suddenly it's like all the Chelsea players that were getting stick under Lampard because you guys were struggling. As soon as Tuchel come in, it was like those players were given a completely fresh slate by the fans. And it's football players are aware of this. They're not stupid, because we are fickle. We are very fickle. And I say this, a lot of people are like, I'll never support Oli, I'll never do this. Right, trust me, if he won something major, you would see the mood change. We're fickle. We change our minds very, very easily, and we're allowed to. We're gonna go to some of your calls now. Make sure the
I'm gonna head off, man.
All right, bro. Take care, mate. I'll see you soon, mate. Take care. We've got Abs with us here. What you saying, bro?
I'm good, fellas. How's everyone?
How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. What do you want to say?
Daniel said something which is very true. Man U, I think Man United fans keep forgetting, okay? We say we want structure, but what he said is true. We said we're going to sign young prospects that are not at the top but can reach the top going forward. Obviously, the Ben White thing, I'm sorry, he's not even, I won't even put in the top. But what KJ said is true. We need an experienced centre-back. Varane, I don't care what it costs. I think we should definitely go and get him if he's available. We need an experienced centre-back, for me personally.
No, I hear you on that, mate. I think that's very, very true. We're going to have eye test to the stream as well. Now, Abs, it'd be great if you could stay with us, mate. That'd be amazing. Eye test is here. What you saying, eye test? Hello? Eye test, you can speak.
Hello. Yes. I wanted to say.
Hello.
Yes, I wanted to say. I find this whole Haaland situation very funny, because this whole circus, everyone's, these public meetings, and everyone's acting like, if we don't get Haaland, is the end. This is the truth. For me, it looks like this is Ronaldinho, a young Ronaldinho coming up, a young Lionel Messi coming up, a young Cristiano Ronaldo coming up. Listen, I'm not going to disrespect Haaland. I think he's the best young striker in the world. But I think if a club's smart, they'd go for other targets. There's other strikers out there. There's Daka. There's Lautaro Martinez. I know you're gonna laugh, but there's Alexander Isak, who's doing very well. Where you don't have no. Listen, I'm being serious right now, bro, because I'm hearing 500k a week. I'm hearing 500k a week for Erling Haaland, and is that really worth it for a striker? For me, if you're getting paid 500 a week, you need to be a Messi.
But if he is the next Messi, then he is worth it.
So listen,
but he isn't the next Messi.
I test. Let me again. There's two. I understand where you're coming from to a degree, but you've got to understand why the remuneration is so high for a player such as Haaland. It's not just the level of goals, games, points, trophies that he can potentially win you. One thing that dictates the value of a player massively, and something that dictates their player in terms of their own personal compensation or salary, is sporting potential a player gives the team. So the potential for Chelsea to go to that next level and win Premier League and Champions League with a striker like him is huge. So that's one part of the money. The other side of it is the commerciality of that individual. And Haaland, and you take this risk as a business when you invest in a player like him, because there could be an injury, there could be a flattening out, there could be a decline. You never quite know, but you have to take the risk. It could be him and Mbappe for the next 10 years head to head. It's the marketer's dream. In fact, it could end up making more money than Messi and Ronaldo, because Messi and Ronaldo, it started like 5 years before social media really took off. This is in the height of social media. So the monetary value behind Haaland, behind Mbappe, those to name just those two, is huge. It's why, by the way, Marcus Rashford is worth so much money. Yes, he's a very good footballer, but what he has done socially in the last 12 months is skyrocketed the commercial aspects of him, meaning he's a vastly more expensive player than a lot of other people on the same range of footballing ability as him. So what you've got to take into consideration is, let's say you're paying Haaland 500 grand a week. I'm telling you, 250 to 300,000 pounds of that is you're paying for the name Haaland. The remaining fraction is the footballer that you're buying. You just can't separate the two, bro. Like, I'll give you an example, and then I'll hand over to everyone else. When Wayne Rooney re-signed for Everton, I remember reading this report that Wayne Rooney shared 2 posts and posted his own thing to, here's a new Everton shirt, go buy it. The Everton website crashed. They had more traffic in a 24-hour period than they'd ever had before on their websites. Why? Because Wayne Rooney was such a big player with a big social media following, so he pushed all these people to the club to buy their products. That's just one tweet. Can you imagine that? You know how much Cristiano Ronaldo charges for an Instagram post? Per post, if you want to pay for him to advertise your product, it's 700 grand. You as a football club, you have access to these players and they share things for you and they promote things. But they want to be paid for it, bruv. So that's why it's so much money. Just to put that all into context for you.
But
sorry, ITES. And the other thing you also need to take into consideration with the 500 grand, if you want to use that example, is the taxes as well. Because, for example, 500 grand is not hitting Haaland's account after the taxman takes his nice cut. So that's another reason why a lot of players ask for higher salaries, because they take that into consideration as well. And football is just going up and up. All these things of salaries, like I think someone said it yesterday, Griezmann's on 700 grand a week. I didn't even know that. That is crazy. But at the end of the day, if a club's willing to pay that, they're willing to pay that. It's nothing for us to say.
Oh man, football is going to implode.
Yeah.
Football. Yeah. If this continues, football is going to implode because it's not sustainable. It's not. No, and I thought and hoped that the pandemic. I thought no, but the thing is, I thought the pandemic was going to help reset things, calm things down.
It's not going to implode yet. Do you know what's coming next?
Yeah.
It's on the edge. You know, like Sky, for instance, they pay 5.8 billion over 3 years for the TV rights.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Amazons and the YouTubes that eventually come in and buy the rights, which are going to be streamed. People got to realize that 5.5 billion pounds to Amazon is nothing. It is a drop in the. What will eventually happen is the TV deals. Oh, it is. Their turnover is like in a year.
Not that. If it's nothing to them, don't buy United Amazon. You're Jeff.
No. I hear you. But what's going to happen is the TV deals are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. They're not. The thing is, what you got to remember is at the financial level, running football, it's not being run by idiots. They know what they're doing. It's there. The only way it implodes is if people stop watching it. As long as people watch it and are willing to keep paying the money to watch it, which we all do. Like, we moan all the time about how expensive it is to go to games, how expensive Sky is. Oh, this is a rip-off. Everyone pays for it still. Like, they still pay for it at the end of the day. And until people stop paying, players are going to earn this kind of money. It won't implode.
Listen, for me, if I was a manager or running a football club, I'd look at the Premier League 2 seasons in a row. A team's going to win the Premier League without a striker. Liverpool last season, yeah, and City this season. For me, 500k, yeah. Do you really need a 500k striker? For me, when you're paying 500k today, you need to be like a Messi or a Neymar, where you could hit a team from all angles. You could create. You're a great goal scorer. You could dribble. Like these type of players. Messi, he could hit you from all angles. He's an all-round attacker. Neymar's an all-round. Haaland's a goal scorer. Yeah, that's a 500k a week player.
ITES, you're talking about in today's football, they need to be X, Y, Z to earn that much money. You clearly haven't been listening. They don't. They don't. That's the whole thing. They don't need to be Messi or Ronaldo to earn that money. Yes, you have to have a high level of ability. But Terry's already explained to you
what strikers out there. The strikers out there.
Sorry, go on, ITES, go on.
Yeah, the strikers out there, I've said already, like Isaac, Lautaro Martinez, you pay 100k a week, maybe,
No,
or
whoa, no,
even
you won't.
80k a week,
No, you
80k a
won't.
week.
No, you won't.
80k.
Oh,
It'll
80k
be
for
80k,
Martinez.
bruv. But listen,
Now
yeah.
Phillips is on like 80k.
Okay, it won't be a
Okay.
lot. It won't be as much as 500k. That's my point. Yeah.
I test,
And
but what
they're
I test, you're not looking at though is again what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. It's like you're disregarding why a player like Haaland is going to be paid exponentially more than other people, of even if they're only marginally worse than him in terms of ability. But you disregarding that, saying, but I think it should be this way. No disrespect, my opinion and your opinion on it matters not. It's around what actually is the case. So there's no point being angry. Like, you basically, you're right now, you're King Canute. You're screaming at the tide not to come in, but you can't stop it. So get out of the water, dry your feet, and accept the way it is, bro. Because players with great ability and with wonderful commercial ability behind them are always going to be paid ridiculous amounts of money. It's just the way it is, bruv. It's as simple and straightforward as that. That's great call, though, mate. Thanks for coming on, having your say.
Terry, sorry, I wanted to ask something to Daniel and sort of post something as well. So obviously this Haaland thing everyone's talking about. Another thing that football fans need to realise that play a big part in this. One location, that's what I always used to say to people, Chelsea will always attract players more than Manchester and Liverpool just because it's London. If you look at Europe, they look at UK or England, say London. The other thing, which I don't take salt into, I don't believe in, but is the Ballon d'Or. Haaland is more likely to win the Ballon d'Or at Real Madrid because we know of the politics than at Chelsea, which is going to be also another big factor as well into this sort of decision he does make.
I think with what you said though, like just to that, like that's things that we know, like they're all formalities. You have to remember that when we as Chelsea fans judge which players are coming to our club, we look at the fact that we have an owner who's got the pool. We've got obviously, yeah, you mentioned the London thing, but when Roman wants someone, he goes out and gets that person, or tries to at least anyway. So you know we're going to be aggressive in our attempts to try and get Haaland. Whether we get him or not, that's yet to be seen. I'm not saying we're the favourites. However,
you're the favourites.
Because we have Roman, I think we have as good a chance as anyone.
No, but I think Terry said this before because the media is trying to do the Haaland versus Mbappe thing, which obviously they did with the Messi and Ronaldo, which they base it on Ballon d'Or. And obviously a lot of Ballon d'Ors have been fixed for me personally. But Haaland, if he wants to win a Ballon d'Or, he won't win it in England just because we know this stigma of only Ronaldo and Michael Owen ever winning a Ballon d'Or from England. That's the other thing as well for me.
Yeah, you're talking about favourites. I don't think anyone's the favourite. The favourite in this is Mino Raiola. like, let's be honest. The favourite in this is Mino Raiola because he is the one who's winning. For him, it's like every club, maybe barring Man United because he hates us and for good reason, have an even playing field. If you got the peas, give us the peas, and he comes.
I agree, but to your point, Abs, I understand where you're coming from. But again, I think Haaland's the type of character that might look at it and say, "Do you know what? It's so hard to win a Ballon d'Or playing for an English club.
Let me do that.
I'm going to do it." And do you know what? I'm not going to do it once. I'm going to go there and win 2 of them because again, legacy. You win 2, just say 2 back-to-back Ballon d'Ors playing for an English club.
Folklore, man.
That's it. You are written. You are etched in stone. And then it's cast iron and it's put out to sea that you are one of the greatest players to ever step foot to these shores. People got to remember things about the English game. And I know that some people don't like hearing it, but playing at Wembley is a dream for 95% of all footballers around the world. Football started here. People enjoy it for that reason, if that makes sense. They love that. So coming here and becoming part of English football folklore, where your dad came through, is massive. He then can and maybe will move on like a year or 2 later to other clubs. But I think Haaland is a kind of arrogant guy, and I mean this in a positive way. Give me that gauntlet. Watch me break the mold. Break the mold is what legacy players care about.
Terry, last point. Look, if Haaland, especially with the age that he could potentially be moving to and from Dortmund, Henry is shaking at the top. Like, I'm telling you that for free, because if Haaland spends the amount of time and does what people expect him to do, like we're going to be talking about.
Does Haaland want to join a project?
We're talking about Premier League XI, like
Sonny. Does Haaland want to join a project? Every club is a project.
Every club is a project. Yeah.
No, but there's different projects.
So you telling me?
Hang on, sorry, Kate. So explain what you mean then. Because I don't get it.
Chelsea are a lot further from the top than, say, a Manchester City.
You say a lot further, but
No,
how
but they
far
are.
are we?
Your defense needs massively improving, in my opinion, to be where Manchester City are. Man City's all-round team is, I'd say, well above Chelsea.
Yeah,
well
better.
above Chelsea.
Again, that's a separate debate for me. So I hear what you're saying now. For me, whether he picks Chelsea or City, that's for that debate, and it's fair enough. In terms of him picking to come and play in England, I just see him as a player. And you're right, Daniel. If he comes here, say he spends 6 years in the Prem and he scores at the same rate he's doing now in the Prem, wins 3 or 4 trophies, some of them back to back, wins a Champions League with the club that he's at, breaks records, wins Ballon d'Ors, he'll walk away and his marketing team will do this. It'll be greatest ever import, greatest ever Premier League player. And I'll push for it. And he'll want that. And that's another of the legacy things. So many footballers care about this. Like, they really do. It's a big thing for them. Like Ronaldo, he ain't still playing at the age he is and working as hard just to score the goals. It's to leave. He wants to be remembered as the greatest footballer of all. That's what drives him on. And that's one thing that was missing, in my opinion, from Wayne Rooney. Not in a horrible way. Wayne Rooney, for me, it was like, it's off season. I'm going to drink and I'm going to eat a pie and I'm going to have a fat. It was like, I just want to win with my club. My club's doing well. I'm doing well. There are some players that are special. And they're special because they want to win all the things at club level, but they want to etch themselves into folklore. And they're the ones you've got to worry about. They're the, no, I mean, they're the individuals, man. They're the individuals.
You're Sonny and Abs. We're United and Liverpool fans, yeah?
Yeah.
We don't really think we have a foot in this race. Compared to the other teams. As the fans of these clubs, do you think we should literally just don't even bother, don't even have the meetings with Raiola and his dad, just give up and get other striker targets? Because
we have to meet up with them because we need to show our intentions. I think Man United and Liverpool do have intentions. It's just, is it as much as Chelsea and Man City? I don't know.
Can you imagine the reaction? I mean, if a Liverpool or Man United were to sign him, I mean, how much do you think would Liverpool win the title again if they brought him in? Would it do that?
Yeah. Because no, unless we have to sell like a big player to get him, then that's a different story. But if we manage to keep our top players and bring him in, then surely
you just sell Firmino.
No, for me, we don't get much money for Firmino.
Yeah,
actually, he's 30 mil max.
And KJ,
how about Man United? If Man United were to pull him off, hypothetical, how would it elevate us? Would it put us properly in a title race, or would we still be short, in your opinion?
We'll fight for second, third.
Really?
It won't change enough. Obviously,
That's true.
The two Man United boys know this. We still need a right winger. We still need 2 centre mids of top quality. We still need a centre back. Just our overall depth. So if Haaland was to get injured and he scores 30 goals a season, even with his goals, Man United is still 4 players away from challenging for a league.
Imagine Haaland with McFred behind him.
Oh my God!
No, but to be fair, Dortmund's midfield isn't great.
Oh, it's much better than ours.
It's better than ours. It's better, you know. Their double pivot midfielders are better than ours.
You know,
one of them 17.
You said that Haaland. That's like wearing a pair of like £200 designer dreams with a pair of high trainers, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, just why don't go together, man? We're gonna do one more caller. We're gonna get man like Ram on with us here. Ram, what you saying, bro?
Yeah, just talking about the Haaland situation. If any club, like I said this before, if any top club are gonna get him, I think they're gonna win the league either way because he is that good of a player. I heard Ites talking about he doesn't deserve to be earning about 500 or 600,000 because he's not aesthetically pleasing, but he's one of the most valuable players because he does what every striker should do, and he does it very well. He scores goals. He's the best goal scorer in the world, and being a goal scorer is the most valuable thing in football right now, and he deserves to get that money because of that.
You're right on that. If you listen, this is the interesting thing where I do like listening to ex-pros and footballers. Goals are the rarest commodity in football. They're absolutely rare. No matter how good your system is, if you're not a good finisher, you don't score lots of goals. It's a simple and a straightforward, or at least a decent finisher. You don't score lots of goals. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to spend hundreds of millions of pounds on top finishers. You just put anyone in the system and they would score the goals. Look at like Jesus. Jesus is playing in the City system, and we laugh because he can't convert the chances. You need a proper striker. Goals from midfield, even rarer. It's why Bruno's and Lampard-esque players are worth so much money, because midfielders don't score.
Even though I've now been seeing people start to convert to the whole, he should be a Roman 8 and we shouldn't actually make him score goals. You just have him roaming around and having high ball retention.
You know that I actually don't understand. I get the point. I just don't understand the conversation. It's almost like, is it a way of going, oh, this is how we can love Bruno, but what we don't like about him, we can blame on Ollie. That feels like, again, it's a workaround to attack Ollie.
They're saying they'd rather not have a potentially 20 goal a season midfielder, just so we can play number 8 and have a higher passing stats. But yet he's stat padding goals. Okay, I see you guys. I see you guys.
I would love to see Bruno doing games, especially where we're winning, right? You know what Barca used to do years back? You sometimes see like 7-8 passes, like just like quick passes between players for no bloody reason because nobody was challenging them. I would just love to see him do that, right? Let's just do an extra 20 passes each game for no reason to get the stats up, just to wind people up. I love that.
What's interesting about Bruno is I always say this, like the time or the period of time where the stats now favor him in terms of that big 6 thing that people keep always bringing up that I just think is silly now. When that goes in his favor, which it will because he's that good of a player, like what would the next argument be? Because he's the first player I've ever seen, like, he's so good, but gets the criticism of someone who literally isn't doing anything. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's just a social media thing.
What it came down to, in my opinion, with Bruno, is he came in and he hit the ground running. So firstly, for the Ollie outers, it was, this doesn't fit the narrative that people can't perform in Ollie's system. It damaged them. People went, oh, how's Bruno doing it? Secondly, a lot of Ollie outers love Pogba. Fine, I love Pogba. But a lot of Pogba's detractors turned around and said, see, Bruno's delivered in that position. Pogba's inconsistencies are him, not the manager. So what that made happen is the Ollie outers were upset that one player come in and kind of made the system work for him. And then they saw their favorite player being attacked by other Man United fans. So instead of like debunking their stupid theories about Pogba being inconsistent, they went for the easy option, what I call key stage 1 attack. You know, this is like the sats you do at junior school. Let's attack Bruno and knock Bruno down a peg or two to even it out. And it's like, well, just debunk the nonsense that Pogba's inconsistent. And then you've got 2 players that we love. That for me was the way around. I looked at it. But now it's set, it's there. And you literally see Pogba FC versus Bruno FC. And the real Man United fans over here, we're all looking at it like, what are they doing? Do you know what I mean? It's like watching, you ever see like 2 homeless people like fight over something innocuous? Like, what are you all doing over there, man? That's what it feels to me. I'm just watching a very weird fight over nothing really, that's nothing tangible. And then I laugh at it now. I just entertain.
Terry, and the weirdest thing, if you actually look at it, like Man United fans look at it, Bruno's going through what Pogba was going through. Because what's the same thing they said to Pogba? He doesn't do it in the big games. But if you're playing Man United where we are at this moment in time, we don't attack big teams. You're not going to score multiple goals and get multiple assists against all the big boys if we are sort of set up to counter-attack them.
There's that, and it's also the same issue of when one of them is only around, when they're not both together, when there's only one of them, they both have to carry the trash around them. And then people get upset that they're not the ones doing it when you've got these man behind him.
And we score all them goals. Again, this is why for me, and I love people again, how you stereotyping all Ollie outers, bruv. They're not a denomination. Using words like stereotyping a type of fan, like it's like they're a like shut up. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ, they're not a denomination of people. And I'm not calling about all Ollie out. Again, a lot of people want Ollie out, call themselves Ollie outers, but I don't think they understand what I look at as Ollie outer as. So anyway, but that's another point. Not all people that want Ollie out do these things. I see a lot of people protect them both. But when Pogba had that season where he scored all them goals, you saw the same. Yeah, but what? Take the penalties away. Yeah, but what about this? And some are tap-ins. And it was like, what, he still scored 16 plus goals. Like, be happy. Like, I don't get what the issue is. It's mad to me. It's mad.
Sorry, guys. We're all football fans here. Because I'm like 31. So I don't know how old everyone's on here, but when did we start doing this thing of take away the penalties?
Bro, let me tell you now, yeah. If Lampard, Scholes, and Gerrard grew up or played in the prime in this period of time, where everyone's on social media, everyone has a podcast, everyone has a YouTube channel, it would be long. Like Lampard will get ripped because he scores too many penalties. He's got too many penalties. Scholes will be ripped. He doesn't do anything apart from long balls. Like he just plays it long. Gerrard will probably.
Gerrard still gets ripped.
Like Gerrard slip, in social media. I think
it was at the beginning. It was at the beginning.
It was at the beginning. You don't see it as much anymore. Like in terms of like the memes that were made, like. It would be like, you know how there's the staple memes, the memes you see every single time you open up your TL and you just look at the tab and you just see Gerrard will be one of them. And it's just like now we just have access to so many things. A lot of people have a bigger voice now, so you
see it all the time. And I keep seeing people do this when it comes to stats. Everyone knows I love a stat because I think the stats back up your points. I actually had a guy the other day. I was watching him. He always, I can't believe this. He's just basically says stats are manipulated. They're not right. They're not accurate. Always says they're wrong when it's Rashford or Bruno they're talking about. And then literally was talking about how amazing Martial is because he consistently scores above his XG. And I'm like, that's a stat, bro. And that's the bit for me. This is why stats are, but people, this is what I get frustrated about when it comes to eye test merchants is how they back up 95% of their points and arguments is with stats. They do it to get what I mean. There's always when you push and you scratch beneath the surface, there's always a stat, which is why they're important. But at the same time, you have to look at the right stats. So, Xavi and Iniesta weren't scoring lots of goals. Their stats were rubbish. No, maybe their creative stats and goal scoring stats were low, but that isn't the stats you judge them on. You look at ball retention. You look at where they lost possession. You look at the accuracy of their forward passes. You look at the accuracy of their smart passes that cut the lines. There are so many different statistics to look at.
You know, it's funny, yeah. That guy from the Stretford Paddy explained it perfectly than I will about to now. But in football, it's actually almost impossible to actually stat pad, like for the actual meaning of stat pad.
Yeah.
The actual meaning of stat pad, I mean, like you gear all your play around towards one player, so that one player.
Bro, AJ,
it's literally impossible to do.
It's literally the in the NBA Russell Westbrook effect. Like,
Russell Westbrook. Yeah,
people say he can go and grab a rebound, go and get a cheeky assist, and go and score 10 points because obviously it's the triple-double thing, 10 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. You can literally go and say, I want to get all the rebounds, and your team knows that you're getting all the rebounds, so you get it. Imagine telling your team, I'm going to score all the goals. Like, in football, it just doesn't work like that.
It's literally almost impossible to actually stat pad, and then people just throw it out so arbitrarily. It's just like, guys, come on, think about what you're saying, people. Please.
You know what's interesting about this, though? This is the thing. Listen, I respect people's opinion. And when I'm talking about Ollie Outwards doing stuff, let me just be very frank. I'm not necessarily talking about content creators because content creators go out on record. They show their face, they show their name, and they say who they are, and they give their opinions. And people are never really as unyielding as people would make out. A lot of people say about me, Terry's just a stat merchant. All he cares about is stats. If you actually hear me speak about footballers, I always talk about the body shape, the movement, how they make me feel. But of course, to qualify how good they are, I back all that up with statistics because you can't just look good without good stats. It's just impossible. But people always like to put you into a box if that makes sense. But this is how the eye test works. So Statman Baines put this out yesterday. I shared it on my Twitter, copied him in. Make sure you follow Statman Baines.
Also, you got blocked by McTominay on Instagram.
Again, probably not McTominay. It's probably like
his media team. Yeah,
I saw that. But yeah, Statman Baines, love him. Actually, really, really good lad. Knows his football, loves his stats. But this is for me that shows the eye test. The eye test can deceive you because the eye test is based on preference, and preference is a difficult thing because it's like. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What Daniel likes for music and what KJ likes in music could be completely different, but they both may love amazing music, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people, back in my dad's younger days, it was like the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. And it's like, yours are rubbish, mine are the best. No, they're both pretty good, really, for that genre of music. Whatever. But I want to show this because this is the most amount of big chances. So this isn't like chances created where Bruno makes a 2-yard pass and someone shoots from 30 yards and that counts as a chance. This is chances which the statisticians in the league and opt to believe are harder to miss than they are to score. Like they're almost, you should be scoring each time, gilt-edged chances. And this proves it. Man United, for me, worst football, no system, nothing, awful, horrible. Yet, we've created the third most big chances in the Premier League this season, only 2 behind Liverpool. City are out there and away on 88. But it isn't like City are a million miles in front of anyone else. It's less than 1 a game more, and City have one of the greatest managers and greatest squads in the world. But you start looking at that, and you're thinking to yourself, like, there are people out there that tell me so many of these other teams play like wildly better football. Now, I think the football may look better than Manchester United's, but it doesn't.
Look, can we all acknowledge just Arsenal down there in 12th sort of point that out there.
Look at Arsenal football recently. Arsenal's football recently, everyone's like, oh, it's fluid, it's this, it's that. Everton this season raved about. Now, I wouldn't expect Brighton's and people to be much higher because of where they are. But look, the West Ham 58, the difference with West Ham, I guarantee, I haven't looked at it. If you look at their conversion rate of big chances, it's high. Our issue this season has been finishing these big chances. Liverpool's issue this season has been finishing these big chances. Yeah. And that's why I say the eye test is deceiving as well. And you need to qualify your eye test opinions with facts. Our Man United system doesn't look attractive, but it does create. If there was nothing, do you get where I'm coming from? It's like if it was as bad as everyone makes it out to be, you wouldn't create that abundance of chances in the season. You just wouldn't.
To be fair, Terry, with regards to your thing, because I didn't know that stat, it's for me, it's even a bigger indictment on McFred, because for me, I feel like they break down a lot of play. And the fact is that people say we haven't got good players. Rashford, Bruno, Greenwood. Imagine we actually had good. Let's say if you gave us Jorginho and Kovacic, we will probably create as much chances as Man City, because Oli does have a style of football. His football is 2-touch, quick transition play.
I disagree because I'll say if you had them guys, it would be the same as like the Chelsea. Like every fan base has
looks at other teams like that. Bro, I'm telling you, if you had Jorginho and Kovacic, you'd be doing the same thing that Chelsea fans. Like, there's literally a divide. Like, I'm always having to defend. Like, Jem does it all the time, and I get onto Jem, and not that I say he has a Mount type agenda like David did, but like I get onto Jem because I tell him, like, with Jorginho, what you need to understand is, look, fair enough, he is a system player, and he has clear weaknesses and flaws. But if you don't acknowledge that this guy is a class player, then I'm sorry. Like, to your point, imagine if we had Ndombele instead of Bruno. The football would be so much better.
So listen to this though. So this is what you get. I've seen some comments go, yeah, Terry, but it includes penalties. So okay, let's just say it does include penalties. So Man United would lose 9. So let's actually go look at the facts though. And this is what it comes down to: people desperate to be proven right rather than seeking the facts and say, actually, that's better than I thought. That makes me happy with my club. Because let's look at the facts this season on penalties awarded. Leicester have had 10. United have had 9, same as Chelsea. But Man City have had 8. So Man City so you can take 9 of Man United's away, but then you're taking 8 of City's away. The difference is pretty much there or thereabouts again. If you start looking at it, like we've had one of the highest awarded penalties. But,
is that Chelsea on level pens as Man United?
No, it is though. Shall I tell you what it is? Shall I tell you what the penalty hysteria around United? It's because of the how you lot's penalties are perceived. Some of the penalties just look like they're not penalties, and naturally you just then think, oh yeah, this is mad. Like, United are always lucky in that.
It's interesting. Man United's level of penalties that we've received in the last year or so have been because of our style of play, which is to get the ball very quickly into the box.
Yeah.
Rashford, especially, and Marshall, the amount of times and some of them, I remember the one against Newcastle, the one we actually missed this season that Bruno missed. In real time on TV, I didn't even think about it as a penalty. It wasn't until the replays and VAR looked at it, and you clearly see he gets studied in the shins after he knocks the ball past the player, and it just is what it is. So for me, people are always looking to put. I'm not saying Oli is perfect. Do I want a more aesthetically pleasing style of football that creates more chances and wins us more games? Yes, I'm not denouncing that, but it's the hyperbolic. We don't create enough big chances.
Yeah, remember that stat's actually fake, because the eye test says we get more penalties than we actually do in it. So the eye test is completely right there. That stat is fake. We get 15 penalties actually because the eye test says so.
I just think for me, like we all seek confirmation bias in life. We all do the same thing. But if I go to look at something and it's like, wow, my view, I just changed my opinion. If someone can show me something, like I said before, if someone can show me that Rashford makes dramatically more mistakes or bad decisions in games compared to his contemporaries, I'll admit, and I will say it all the time, he's a bad decision maker. But until you can show me the facts that back up your opinion, I'm not buying it, bro. I'm like that in every walk of life. I'm a seeing is believing type person. You tell me X exists, great. I believe the base of what you're saying. Show me. If you can't, you know when you ask someone to explain something and they just go, as soon as I hear that, I switch off and say, I'm done. Come back to me when you're ready, mate. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, I'm just bored of it now. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to all of you. Daniel, KJ, Abs, Sonny, Ram, Neeks was on today. Who else was on earlier? Someone else. Gem as well. Thank you all for coming on. Hit the like and share button. We're live at 6:30. Big news, big announcement for the Terrace. Until next time, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you.